Hello everyone. So today we have a special guest on our channel. We have Rupal. So Rupal, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rupal Lohani. I'm from Delhi and I'm currently working as a senior analyst at EY. It's been almost 7 months since I'm working with EY and it's been great since then.
Yeah, so she's here to talk about her interview experience at EY. So Rupal, tell us about the rounds, the problems, everything in details.
So essentially, I had 5 rounds of interviews that included all the technical aptitude and your soft skills rounds. So starting with the first clearing round, that was the
Mm-hmm.
aptitude round for me.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, it's the coding round that comes into play, but for me, it was the aptitude round. It included your analytical skills,
Mm-hmm.
your basic aptitude. That would include logical reasoning,
Mm-hmm.
certain English jumble sentences, and
Yeah.
all that.
Yes.
And from there were a short listing of the students, and they were almost out of 500, 700 students, there were 50 of them that were
Mm. Yeah.
sorted out. And within that 50, from the after like 2-3 hours, the next round started, and the next round started with technical rounds. So they were not actually taking technical questions online, like
Mm-hmm.
you didn't have to code. Basically, they were taking one-on-one interview with you on the coding
Okay.
test. So the first technical round I had was with the cybersecurity analyst at EY,
Mm-hmm.
and he had basically asked me questions around my operating systems knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
because I was basically being hired for a cybersecurity perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So he wanted to test my knowledge on the OS domains, so operating systems, and in that he included various OSI models,
Mm-hmm.
how much core knowledge I have about the CPU, the RAM, the ROM. Your he in fact asked me about application questions, like what type of RAM is there on my laptop. So it was basically a general awareness as well.
Yeah.
Then there was some another guy who came into play, and he was asking me totally on technical basis. So I got domains like doubly linked list,
Mm-hmm.
then sorting certain arrays, bringing down the time complexity.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a question where I had to bring down the time complexity to 0 n. Uh, so that was pretty challenging for me, but in general they didn't want to see how much you're achieving, like how much in what time you're trying to achieve that. He wanted to see what approach basically
Mm-hmm.
you're taking.
Thought process.
So, yeah, your thought process. He wanted to see whether you have mugged up the answers or whether you
Hmm.
actually applied your brains towards it.
Yeah.
So that was it, and thankfully I was very scared after that round, because it was almost a 45-minute round for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like similarly, after 2-3 hours, they shortlisted students to bring it down to 10
Hmm.
after that. And there was another technical round that happened, and that was also around technical questions. He had given me a question on a binary tree, and one more question with a single linked list.
Hmm.
So those were the two questions asked, and I had to solve it in within 60 minutes.
Hmm.
He was actually very cooperative as well. He was trying to help me where I got stuck, and
Hmm.
trying to achieve an answer with me, and trying to
Yeah.
achieve how my thought process basically goes on
Mm-hmm.
behind it. So that was it in the second technical round, and there was a third technical round where he had asked me about databases,
Hmm.
algorithms, and basic certain definitions, and how much I have learned during my engineering,
Yeah.
especially the third year, which is the very crucial year,
Mm-hmm.
to bring up your skills. So that was it in my third technical round. And mainly I would suggest, in like, as you progress towards your technical rounds, it's not about the difficulty that increases. It depends on the person who is interviewing you.
Hmm.
So for me, all the three individuals who had interviewed me, they were mainly from the cybersecurity domain. So
Mm-hmm.
the questions that revolved around was in the operating systems
Mm-hmm.
and algorithms.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
You
was it
didn't have
about.
a HR round?
Yeah, so coming towards the fourth round, so like as soon as the shortlisting came down, they started taking more on the HR, that is your personal
Hmm.
skills.
Yeah.
So they wanted to see how you are as a person, how you are able to handle the pressure, when you have workload, and all that.
Hmm.
And so soon in my fourth round, the technical round was all done. Maybe certain few questions about arrays they had
Mm-hmm.
asked, but it was mainly on the background of HR, on your soft skills. And the fifth round was also an HR round for me, and that was taken by the partner.
Mm-hmm.
Partner, basically the one who was my senior line manager in that end. And yeah, so he was mainly, it was a short round of just 15-20 minutes, and he had asked me about my family background, where I come from. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So EY is one of the big four companies, and a lot of people want to join EY. So, what advice would you give to people who are preparing for EY or appearing for EY? What advice would you give to those people?
So people who are basically targeting the big four, EY comes amongst the second of them.
Yeah.
So I would say that's a really great start towards your career, because EY, being a consulting company, it does not only give you a background in the technical round, but it also gives you great exposure towards the non-technical background as well.
Yeah.
Because considering my scenario where I'm working with a client, usually in IT companies you work on different projects. It's a service based company, or
Hmm.
maybe on your projects. So I think on that basis, uh, consulting companies give you a great exposure, a on various client level interactions, b on various projects,
Hmm.
and c, it gives you a great exposure on your personality background as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great start towards hitting a consulting company, and EY would be a great a great self perspective in the growth wise as well, and your career wise as well.
Okay. So, what advice would you give technically, or what to prepare, how to prepare for cracking the interview of EY?
Sure. So, cracking interviews for EY would be distinctional on the basis of the role that you're coming into.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you a great advice on cybersecurity domain. I think it is very important for a computer science individual, or maybe any branch, to because in the current world scenario where COVID pandemic has hit,
Hmm.
so there's a lot of demand for IT individuals.
Yeah.
So I feel hitting on a consulting company with your IT background, technical knowledge mainly on the sides of operating systems, your database knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
be it SQL, MySQL, and your command on at least one programming language.
Mm-hmm.
That is the main go-to start to get into any company, be it EY, be it any other IT
Yeah.
company or consulting company. So technically, I think your deep core knowledge on your engineering or what you have learned is very important.
Okay, so I've noticed you've done a lot of projects on data analytics. So, how did your interest come in the field of data analysis and data analytics?
So essentially, in my second year of engineering, I had taken an elective named Foundations of Data Science, and
Yeah.
that's where my interest jumped in, because I thought this is really a very good growth in the market as well, being a data analyst,
Mm-hmm.
and the technologies that are coming around being a data analyst are really very potentially high, because there's not much to apply your brains into. There's a lot of much to learn.
Hmm.
So if you consider dashboards that are like Power BI, Tableau, Google Data Studio, so I think they give a great insight and visual, and there is a lot of to play around with it. So
Yeah.
that's where my interest actually kicked in. And after that, I had given a lot of projects on this data analyst field, where I even have a publication with the COVID-19 study of in India,
Hmm.
with giving a visualization as well for how COVID pandemic spread across to India. What is the prediction, and how the growth of graph is
Hmm.
actually moving forward. So, as I said, there's a lot of play around. It does not keep you in a box. It actually gives you a great box to move
Hmm.
around. So that's where my interest came in, and that's how I've been inclined. And now I'm working as I said, as into cybersecurity domain, which also involves analysis in various aspects, being risk, being in potential threats, vulnerabilities, etc.
Okay. And just in case if someone is interested on how to become a data analyst, I've made an entire video on that. I'll link it in the description. It'll also appear on one of the corner cards, so you can check it out. Okay, so I guess that covers everything about getting into EY and the respective fields about it. So thanks a lot, Rupal, for coming on my channel and sharing your journey with me and my subscribers. So thank you.